So I've seen quite a few videos on this DJI Mic Mini for motovlogging, basically use within a helmet. And some of the results on those videos are quite hit and miss. Like some sound quite good, some don't. So today I'm going to do some pretty comprehensive testing to find what works best, which should generally be what's best for pretty much everyone to a degree anyway. So my main helmet is off for warranty repairs, so this is what I'll be using. This is worst case scenario because it's a cheap helmet, it's a nitro, and it's a modular. Modulars always let in more wind noise than a full face, and it is noisy. It's a budget helmet, it's pretty crap, so any results I get today, if you apply the same settings, you should get better audio. This is literally like one of the cheapest helmets around. So actually mounting the mic itself is going to play a big part as well with regards to your final result. So the helmet is full of some like natural wind protection, so you might as well use it. And this thing is so small, it can pretty much go anywhere within the helmet. So if you look at it, the actual mic receiver is on this end. So all I'm going to do is mount it like this, behind this foam, just temporarily for this test. You can obviously use the magnet, tape the magnet down under there, and then you can easily remove it and put it back on. And don't forget that if you're still getting wind noise with the settings that you've tried, you can always push the mic just further back here, and it's just going to act like a massive dead cat, really. So yeah, to keep this more objective, I'm not actually going to go for a ride during the testing. What I'm going to do is have these two fans here at various speeds to simulate wind noise. Standing at the same distance away from them each time, and then I'll up the power to simulate increasing speed. And then finally I'm going to lift the visor up on the helmet to purposely let as much wind noise in as possible to see how each setting copes with it. Finally, I'm going to try each setting with and without a dead cat just to see how that affects things and how good these actually are. So let me just get this mounted in the helmet and we'll carry on. Actually, before I do that, I'll just quickly go through the settings and what you can actually adjust and what I will be adjusting in the experiment. So it's important to note that if you only have the single transmitter and you don't have the DJI receiver, you are limited to what you can adjust. For example, you can't manually adjust gain with this setup. So you do lose some functions, but the benefits of this setup are all these doors can be kept closed, so the camera stays waterproof. So if you're riding and you get caught out in the rain, it doesn't matter, you can just carry on recording as you were doing. So with the Osmo Action 4, you can only connect one of these via Bluetooth without a receiver, so just bear that in mind. I think with the 5 you can connect two, but I'm not entirely sure. So there's not really much you can adjust, but what you can adjust I'll show you now. So as you can see, this green bar at the top, that's just kind of monitoring the kind of volume level, like my voice basically. So it obviously, if it goes into like the red, you're going to be clipping. So if I just scroll down here, go on settings, go down to the camera, wireless mic, you can see it there. Sorry, my phone quality isn't the best at the minute. So that's showing the charge status there. Monitor volume is irrelevant. I don't know why this option is even here without a receiver, but basically all that does, say if you have the receiver and you've plugged some headphones into the 3.5 jack, all this does is allow you to hear your own recorded voice. So if it's like blasting your ears, you can turn that down. So it doesn't matter what you do with that when you're recording with this setup. So you've got the LED that just turns the LED on and off on here. Low cut, basically that's a high pass filter. So what that's meant to be doing is cutting out kind of low frequency sounds. So for example, air conditioning, it could potentially cut out some of your exhaust note if you have a really deep rumbly exhaust like a Harley or something like that. It should in theory help reduce wind noise, but we'll check that today. So that's all that does. It's an on or off thing. That's all you can do. Auto power off just turns this off when you turn the camera off. Clipping control, so that's essentially if you start clipping, i.e. the input sound into this transmitter is way too high and it's distorting the audio, that's just going to try and cut that distortion out. That's basically all it does. Finally, there is one extra setting which you wouldn't really know about unless you read the manual. It does have one mode of noise cancellation in this setup. Obviously, as I said, you get way more options if you have the receiver, but if you just press on the power button, you see this yellow light here, that's telling you that you've basically turned noise cancellation on. So it's on or off, that's all it will do. So we'll be testing that as well. So let me just get this in the helmet. So that's how I've got it mounted. You can obviously play around with it. Like I said, you can shove it further back behind the cheek pad and you're going to get a lot more kind of natural noise cancellation there. But I'm just going to shove it there for now. So let's start the tests. So test one, both low cut and clipping control are on. Noise cancellation is off. Deadcat is not on the mic. Just closing the visor. So let's get these on power 1. So that's how it sounds. You're also going to be getting some unwanted noise from the fans themselves, which might help. Just looking at the camera now, I can see I'm clipping quite a bit, but let's just crank these up to full. So that's full power on both fans. And finally, I'm just going to lift the visor up. So should be getting plenty of airflow there. So that's test 1. Test 2, all settings the same as before except low cut is disabled. So clipping control is on, again no dead cat, same as before. I'm just going to bang these both onto full power. This should sound worse. Visor is closed and I can see him clipping loads here. Finally, I'm just going to lift the visor up. Finally, clipping control and low cut are both off now. So the change between this video and the last one, this test and the last one, I've disabled clipping control, so this should sound quite horrendous. Once again, full power, the visor is down. Let's lift it up for maximum airflow. Finally, everything is disabled apart from I've turned the noise cancellation on, so that's when the LED went yellow. You just press the power button once on the mic itself, but the low pass and clipping control are both disabled, so this is probably going to be pretty bad as well. Let's close the visor. So yeah, I can see on the camera I'm clipping massively, so let's lift the visor up, get my face in the airstream there, and that's clipping real bad. So now everything is on, so basically the default settings, but I've also turned on noise cancellation with the yellow LED on the microphone. I can still see him clipping quite a lot. Visor's down. Note that all the tests so far have been without the deadcat on. Just lift the visor up. Get my face in the windstream a bit more. So I think for the next test, I'm going to keep all these settings on, but I'm just going to put the deadcat on the mic. That's the only change I'm going to make. So now, as I said, everything's the same apart from I've got the deadcat on the mic now, and I've also got the noise cancellation on and all the default settings. So the low cut is also on and the clipping control is on as well. I can still see him clipping on the camera, interestingly. Visor is up at the minute. Let's just close that. So having a look here, talking at a normal volume, and it does look like it's clipping as well. These are all on full power. Visor's closed. Just lift the visor up to simulate going extremely quickly. So next test will have everything on apart from noise cancellation. I'm going to disable that because I have heard that it can make the audio sound a bit artificial, so let me just turn that off but keep all the other settings on. So as I said before, deadcat is on, noise cancellation is turned off, clipping control is on, low cut is on. I can still see him clipping. So perhaps none of these are going to sound particularly good. The visor's closed, talking at a normal volume. Let's open the visor now. Get in the airstream. So yeah, that should give you some idea. Finally, pretty much the only thing left to try is to bury the microphone deeper within the helmet. So let me just show you what that's going to look like. So this is basically how the microphone looks. So what I'm going to do now, leaving the deadcat on, is pop some of these off and bury this deeper within the cheek pad here to see if we can cut down on the clipping further. So let's just see how that looks in a second. So you can see there I've really buried it deep within this pad, and this shouldn't really affect the comfort much at all because these don't really touch my face, to be fair. So yeah, it's properly buried within that now. I can't stress enough, I think so far from what I can tell, the number one thing you can do to get the best audio is buy a decent helmet to begin with. As I said at the beginning, this is literally worst case scenario. One, it's modular, which are always louder than full face. Two, it's dirt cheap. It's my backup helmet, as I said before, because my other one's in for warranty repairs. In terms of mounting, I can't really see anywhere better to mount it, or how you could reduce the clipping further, other than possibly placing the mic in like a foam pouch with the dead cat as well. Anyway, let's just finish the video up. So I'll just show you the settings for this final clip. I've got noise cancellation turned on the microphone in there. And then again, I've got the low cut on and clipping control on as well. I think both of these don't make a massive difference, but we'll see. So this will be the final test. But I think, to be honest, I think most of the clipping is coming from my own voice as opposed to any of the simulated wind noise up there. So yeah, make of that what you will. Let's give it one more go. So yeah, as I said before, where the mic is buried in the helmet, it doesn't even touch my face, so it's really not a problem. So let's do this one more time. Visor is down, both fans full power. Get right up in it. Around the helmet, that feels to me like probably 50 or 60 mile an hour wind. So finally, let's lift the visor up. That is blasting my eyes. And just for the hell of it, let's lift the modular system up itself for maximum airflow. So that's the modular system completely up now. So yeah, I'm gonna have a look at the footage and listen to it all myself now, and then just give my final thoughts at the end. So to summarize, based on everything I've kind of listened to and looked at, there's some take-home points here. So I think without the dead cat, obviously your voice is going to be clearer, but for me, I didn't really like it because I could hear like my own saliva in my mouth and stuff like that, which I found a bit gross to listen to. So I think going forward, using the dead cat is probably a good idea. So with the noise cancellation feature, I think when you turn that on, that might limit your exhaust tone a little bit, but it definitely cuts down on the wind noise quite impressively, considering the size of this thing and considering it doesn't have the receiver either. Bluetooth audio is always going to be a little bit worse than like a wired connection, but quite impressed with the noise cancellation and what it does to wind noise. But as I said, you might lose a bit of clarity from your exhaust if that's what you're looking for. Disabling low cut is absolutely awful, as you could hear in the clips. There's no reason to disable that really if you're motovlogging. Just sounded really poor to me. Clipping control, turning that off is also a terrible decision for this application. It just sounded awful. Turning off low cut and clipping control is just even worse. Another thing to note is you might not even need the dead cat if you're wearing quite a premium lid, which is known for good wind noise protection. This thing is shocking, as I told you. But if you have a really premium lid, particularly a full face lid, you really might not even need the dead cat. So that's something to consider. But if you are using a really cheap lid like this, the audio is still very easy to hear, even when the mic was buried deep into this cheek pad. So if your lid is particularly noisy, that's also a pretty good option to just bury it really deep in here. It will make your voice a bit more muffled, but it's certainly going to help. It's certainly going to help quite a bit with wind noise. So yeah, that's kind of like a free little hack. Just have a play around with it and just decide where it sounds best within your helmet. I think putting it up under here is probably not going to be a good idea, because that's where all the wind is going to come up under the modular system. So I'd definitely opt to put it either just on the inside here or deeper inside it. So yeah, I hope this helps. I've got a good idea of what settings I'm going to go for going forward. I'm essentially going to run everything on with this buried, not too deep, maybe just how I initially had it, round about here, but with everything on. And I'll play around with and without noise cancellation. I might not need it on my more premium lid when it comes back from warranty repairs. Definitely need it on this because it's just awful. So yeah, hope this helps.